So, welcome to this tutorial on how to write a decent argumentative essay. The topic of this essay is, here's the title, Despite the tablet hype, hardcover textbooks are still best. Catchy, short, no need for fancy fonts or underlines or colors. The title speaks for itself. There are colors in the essay, as we'll see, and I've used the colors here in order to indicate where topic sentences are and just aid the viewer's understanding of the structure of the essay. So let's take a look. The introduction. Nowadays, most people cannot imagine life without electronic devices such as mobile phones, tablets, and computers, because these devices make life easier in many ways. Not only are devices such as tablets intuitive to use and incredibly convenient, but they are easily transportable as well, literally making a wealth of knowledge immediately available to all who use them. Given that the ongoing technological revolution has resulted in ever lighter and compact electronic devices, the trend at present in many secondary schools is to replace hardcover traditional textbooks with tablets. However, is this a wise move? The evidence will demonstrate that, in fact, it is anything but. Now, this is highlighted in yellow because essentially this is our thesis. The essay is going to go on to argue, indeed, that hardcover textbooks are best. And what we see here is kind of an effective hook or an effective device, which is a rhetorical question. Rather than writing, for example, this essay will look at, or in this essay I will explain, or this essay will describe in depth. Basically, it's best to just let the evidence speak for itself. So don't use words like I believe, it seems to me. This is an argumentative essay, so it needs to be academic and objective. The evidence, again, will speak for itself. Okay, let's further read. This is body paragraph 1, so this is the first argument. If textbooks are to be replaced by tablets, this will inevitably result in students using them for hours on end, both at home and at school. Why would requiring students prolonged use of such devices be a mistake on the part of our schools? Because it is commonly known that overexposure to electronic devices is dangerous for our health. Therefore, obliging young people to expose themselves to such risks would be an irresponsible thing to do. Indeed, it is well known that the use of tablets is unhealthy for the human body. It has been scientifically proven that electronic devices can cause headaches, tiredness, and a lack of ability to focus because looking at a screen for a long duration harms the brain cells. Specifically, when students are young, usage of tablets can have a negative impact on their eyes, and they might end up having health problems at a young age. Studies have shown that the radiation emitted by tablets is unhealthy to the development of the body. As such, replacing traditional books with tablets would be both risky and unwise. So again, we see a rhetorical question, and then the answer, which is the topic of our paragraph. There are health risks. And what you see here are sources where research backs up the argument. So we've got a couple of sources here. You might have one source, but then you quote from it or paraphrase, use information from it at different points in the same, say, article. You also see, as we talked about in class, the Hamburger structure of the paragraph. Basically, you've got the topic introduced, then the reasons. So this is the top bun of the hamburger, if you will. The reasons, supporting statements, the meat, the lettuce, the veg, and then a concluding statement to wrap up the paragraph, the bottom bun of the hamburger. Here's body paragraph 2, another argument. There are additional reasons for holding on to hardcover textbooks in school, namely, learning from real books has been proven to be more effective. Students who read printed texts remember and learn more than those who read digital texts, because the brain retains the information both more accurately and for a longer time period. The brain understands printed and digital text in different ways, and people generally read printed text more slowly than digital text, taking the time to fully understand the material. Thus, reading printed text is more effective. However, not only does reading ability improve, but writing as well. Research has shown that fine motor skills are better developed when writing by hand in the traditional manner, as opposed to typing on a touchscreen. Physical handwriting both strengthens and improves the fine motor skills in the hands, and dexterity becomes better. Therefore, traditional books are best for youngsters' physical development. What's the topic of our sentence? That learning from hardcover books is just more effective. So again, our topic, our sources, giving supporting statements and reasons why, and then the last concluding statement of the paragraph. Okay, one more argument. This is body paragraph 3. Yet another point to be made is the fact that tablets are expensive. Who is going to pay for tablets for every student, the school or the students themselves? Again, another nice rhetorical question. From a purely practical standpoint, textbooks can be used for a longer term and can be used for years by several students. Tablets, however, constantly need charging, and this increases electricity demands on schools, as more electrical outlets are needed. Additionally, damaging a textbook is much less costly than damaging a tablet. And then our source for the research. The costs incurred if tablets have to be repaired are great. It must also be mentioned that not every household can afford to purchase, rent, or lease a tablet for their child. So again, some, let's say, financial data about how if people can afford tablets. Lastly, in terms of the cost, because tablets are valuable devices, it is possible that they can be stolen, which puts youngsters at the risk of being mugged or robbed. In essence, tablets are more expensive than hardcover books in both the long and short term. Now here comes our rebuttal. So this is where we take one paragraph to argue against what we're saying, and then we tear the argument apart. Now in your rough draft, which is due on Monday, now for some of you it was due on Friday anyway, in your rough draft, which is only meant to be 800 words, you don't need to include the rebuttal yet. But some of you may want to work ahead, and perhaps you'll watch this video again. When you're writing the final 1,000-word version of your essay, you'll need to include a rebuttal. Here we go. Some proponents of tablet usage make the claim that the convenience to students is a reason in itself to get rid of traditional books. Pupils will no longer need to carry a stack of heavy material around and will, instead, carry only a lightweight, paper-thin device. Okay, so here's an argument against what we believe, what we're arguing. And here's where we tear it down. Yet, whether this physical convenience will be an improvement is debatable. Having a tablet at all times, in class and out, does not address the fact that for most young people, having such an easily transported device with access to all and sundry websites is distracting. Research. In class, for example, students might be paying attention to Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, online games, and websites instead of their teachers, and this distraction will be even greater because they will always have their mobile device with them. Furthermore, students can be dishonest with their teachers by playing games or having chat conversations on their tablets during class time. Although many schools block access to certain websites, young people are incredibly adept at figuring out how to use sometimes illegal means of circumventing such restrictions. Again, research. In the end, the very nature of tablets being easy to carry and conceal makes them a higher risk of distraction to students. So again, we've looked at the argument, that people say, yeah, but they're easy to carry around, they're lightweight, and that's better than carrying around a pile of books. But then we've argued against it and shown that, in fact, the very nature of the thing being easy to carry around means that you're going to be distracted all the time because you have that device with you. Okay, here's our conclusion. In conclusion, textbooks should not be replaced by electronic devices at schools. The arguments which purport that these devices make life easier simply do not weigh up against all the negative consequences which would follow. Now we list, basically summarizing the ideas of each paragraph. The overexposure to dangerous effects which tablets have on physical health is reason enough not to use them to replace textbooks. As mentioned before, this would be an irresponsible thing to do. In addition, tablets are expensive both for pupils and schools. Moreover, learning in the traditional manner via hardcover books, which requires the development of fine motor skills and higher brain function, is preferable. Swiping a touchscreen does not stimulate the mind in the way that reading and writing printed text does. Lastly, it cannot be denied that students are more likely to become distracted while using tablets than textbooks. This, of course, will not make the learning process any easier. And in fact, tablets will result in far too many complications and disturbances for effective classroom use. Secondary schools must resist the urge to follow the trend toward the use of tablets and face the facts. There is nothing amiss with the traditional tools of learning. Hardcover books are still best. So again, we've listed, just in summary, in 1 or 2 sentences per paragraph, all the points made above in our body. And we've driven the point home effectively by ending with a sentence or two that is catchy, but also makes the point clearly. What you will notice as well is that in the conclusion, there is no research cited. There are no sources. The conclusion should be the author's own words, summarizing the points made. Essentially, the conclusion is going to be a repeat, in other words, of the introduction. You'll also notice that there's no research, there are no sources listed in the introduction. Again, the research, the sources, the supporting statements really appear in the body paragraphs. One other useful device when aiming for good writing, especially academic writing, is the use of signal terms, transition words. Let's look for a few. Here's one. Here's a nice one. Not only, but. This is a nice method of varying the structure of your sentence. However, okay, because, therefore, specifically, as such, namely, however, therefore, you can vary them more if you choose to. Yet, however, again, additionally, to add further information, it must also be mentioned, lastly, in essence, and then we've got, okay, yet again, furthermore, in the end, although, in conclusion, as mentioned before, moreover, lastly, these kinds of words do indeed help to make writing readable. All right, you'll notice as well that one thing the essay does not do is the author, we do not use the word I or we. It's tempting. However, is this a wise move? I believe that it is not. Now again, what's the problem with using your own opinion and basically referring to yourself? That undermines your argument. It essentially makes your argument sound as if it's your opinion only. Instead, it's better to just state the facts and cite your source to prove the facts. All right, I hope that this tutorial has been useful. Oh, and of course, on the last page, you'll list your sources in APA referencing style. And for further information on that, just feel free to Google APA referencing. Microsoft Word may be able to help with that, or ask your tutor. All right. Good luck out there.